Here's my showcase presentation for my project. I'm comparing three possible solutions for a problem in a medical imaging department, and I'm ascertaining the financial viability of each one. My three scenarios are to leave it a 1 day per week radiologist vacancy as is, employ a salaried radiologist in that place, or outsource the reporting of x-rays to an external provider. I calculated the pure financial implications for each scenario, and I calculated the total cost to the business for each scenario. Total cost to the business for a salaried radiologist employed at 1 day per week is $114,000 per year. This is including extra benefits such as annual leave. These will be detailed in my report. I did not include infrastructure expenses such as machinery because they're already in place and will be incurred regardless or not. These I'm only concerned in this project with the variables in each scenario. The estimated cost of the use of a teleradiologist for 1 day per week was $103,000. The income generated from Medicare for both the teleradiologist and the salaried radiologist will be the same at $350,000 per year. Leaving the position vacant is obviously a salary saving of $114,000 per year, but also a loss of income. I first calculated the capital asset pricing model, and my calculations will be in my report. That was calculated to be 9.3%. I used the 9.3% to then calculate the WACC, and I assumed the cost of equity was 9.3%, and the WACC came in at 3.5% post-tax. I can use the WACC as a discount rate rather, when I was calculating the net present value. The net present value came in at a positive figure, and it was most positive as a teleradiologist, and then a salaried radiologist, and then leaving the position vacant. The difference between the salaried and the teleradiologist was about $100,000 positive in favour of the teleradiologist. Using the NPV as an indicator of this project's viability, the option of using a teleradiologist is the highest positive NPV compared to the other two scenarios. I then needed to look at non-financial benefits, and I used cost-benefit analysis to do this. Non-financial benefits and costs, I should say. So the cost of keeping the position vacant is naught because there's no salary, and which does look to be a benefit at first glance. But I also needed to factor in the non-financial costs to that, and I assigned a financial value for each cost, and these will be detailed in my report. The costs are decreased referrer satisfaction due to lengthy delays in receiving reports. There's roughly 13,000 patients who will be unable to gain an appointment for imaging in the public sector and have to attend the private sector, and that will incur a gap payment. These patients will have to travel further afield to obtain medical imaging in other areas, and that results in inconvenience and financial hardship. The doctors of those 13,000 patients will have to spend more time searching for those reports because the reports will not be available on the IT system readily available to all doctors within the public sector. All of those costs had a financial value placed on them, and you will find those in my report. The non-financial benefits for this scenario is not having to reschedule bookings when unplanned leave is taken, not having to pay annual leave and professional development leave. The cost of employing a salaried radiologist is quite significant over 10 years. What I perceived as a benefit in keeping the position vacant is now considered a cost in employing a radiologist. Another cost is due to the fact that a salaried radiologist is paid per session, and some radiologists are slower at reporting than others, so there's a cost involved there as well. There are delays in reports going back to private referrers, which may equate to a potential loss of future business if they're dissatisfied with the service. That's another cost that we can consider. Also, the other important cost to consider is delayed reports going back to the referrers, resulting in delayed diagnosis and implementation of appropriate treatment plans. This has potential for poor outcomes. Again, the value I assign to this will be detailed in my report. Another cost is having to backfill those professional development and annual leave days as well. That's another cost. In employing a salaried radiologist, there are benefits, as we obviously have the revenue raised through Medicare, and there's a reduced incident of loss of productivity in recalling patients back to have their images re-imaged. The last scenario to consider is that of outsourcing the medical imaging reports to an external provider. There are costs involved with this, and obviously there'd be a cost to the company that we're going to be employing. There could be some increased recall rate because the teleradiologist isn't on site, so they may need to see extra imaging, so the patient may need to be recalled. But also there's benefits using this system. Obviously there is a revenue. They're only used when they're needed. We don't use them in quiet times of activity, when low activity over Christmas and New Year, etc. That cost and all these will be put into my report. We will not have to cover backfill for professional development leave and annual leave. Another benefit again, which will be in my report. The teleradiologist provides their own quality and review audits, and we won't have to reschedule bookings when unplanned leave such as sick leave is taken. So looking at all those, briefly, the net gain using cost-benefit analysis for using an external provider was quite significantly positive for using a teleradiologist. Again, it came in as the most positive outcome for using a teleradiologist. Keeping the position vacant came in at second, and employing someone, interestingly, was not very beneficial at all. These figures will be in my report. So it's clear using this financial tool that outsourcing to an external provider is a financially more sound option. Also using net present value, that was a positive. Net present value was also quite positive in using the teleradiologist. All of this information will be in more detail in my report. Thank you.